Yeah, sorry, Jack. Sorry. God fucking damn it. Only me. Ugh, that's so annoying. Hi, Dante. It's not gaming now. What? It's entertainment. Oh, he's gonna be on one all fucking night. Yep. Oh, that should be fine. We need EXP. I know. I forgot. My mouse is a fucking ass. Hi, Bolt. 1 minute. My mouse has been double clicking a lot recently, so when it said so when it like tells me to go live on OBS when the stream is like about to broadcast, what it will do if I click too far up in the mouse, like roughly around there, which is where my finger usually lays, it will double click. So it'll be like, "You're now live. The live has ended." It's like, fuck. That's on me. That's mostly on my mouse actually. But yeah, sorry about that one. Oh my days. And now my finger ain't working because it says I'm not even fucking live. No. Yes, select this one. Loki playing Minecraft while watching? Fuck yeah. What would we like to see? But yeah, that's annoying. Bedrock or Java? I mean, these days it doesn't really matter, right? Like, they're both pretty good. Built-in autoclicker? I know, right? If I played autoclickers, it'd be godsend, but I don't. I think the last time I played an autoclicker was like an Evolution game that was on Steam. Anyway, hello JR, hello Bolt, hello Lava, hello Quibs, hello Dante, hello Jack. There might be a couple others. Random's probably going to pop his head in here, so I might as well say hi to him. I know Admiral's probably laying in the background, so hi Admiral. More than likely, at the very least. Focus on me. There we go. But yeah, we're back on Shadow Slave, and I got a comment on my last Lord of the Mysteries stream, being like, "When are you gonna stream Lord of the Mysteries again?" And I feel really bad because I have like no intention of carrying on Lord of the Mysteries like right now. Like, it's interesting. It is very, very interesting, and I want to know what's going on. I'm just more interested in Shadow Slave and the beginning after the end. Hey, Zoltrus. Good hair? Nah, not right now. It's kind of a bit of a mess. It's kind of just doing its own thing right now. But yeah, I don't even know what to comment to him. Phil, he's probably eating a scorpion in the stream with the stream in the background. He's allergic to scorpions. Isn't he allergic to crab as well? Or like he thinks he's allergic to crab? Something along those lines. It's something silly. Where did you leave off in Lord of the Mysteries? We left off Andre and Susie are like prying about pretty much. Hey, Steak. Don't say yo what. It's failure. He'll be fine. Hello, Laz. But yeah, like, I want to keep reading Lord of the Mysteries. I've got the entirety of Volume 1's, like, physical collection in, like, where I keep my books. I just don't care. Like, I just don't care. And I do blame that mostly on how Guilty Free writes. Hey, speaking of the devil, hi, failure. Interesting way to open a can. I've got fucking buck teeth for a reason, brother. Big ass buck teeth, too. Seems like the dog sound this way. So real about Lord of the Mysteries. Unfortunately. Because I do, like, everything I've read about it, okay, maybe not everything. Like, after chapter 25, I'm like, okay, it's good. I'm back. Volume 13 of Shadow Slave started and it's really wild so far. So I've heard. I've heard it's an insane start. Let's just hope Other House isn't alone with. What was said? Don't worry about it. When I read Lord of the Mysteries for the first time, I got a headache. I am unfortunately addicted to G3's writing style. It is a really good writing style, to be fair. G3 was a beast. Was a beast when writing. I might just build different. I never felt bad writing style. I believe that might unironically be because your brain's so young, it kind of just got really adjusted to reading it, like, heavily. Like, if I read Lord of the Mysteries when I'll say, like, 14, I'd feel like his writing style wouldn't get to me nearly as much. I feel like it wouldn't just crush me with how weird he fucking describes shit and how oddly he ends up, like, almost turning the corner of his writing, and it's a bit of a headache. Hi, Philip. The end is near. I can feel the impending doom, sadly. What the fuck does that mean? Oh, for Shadow Slave. Wait, isn't this meant to be, like, the final, if not second last volume? Something like that? Makes sense why the first chapter was annoying the first time around. I mean, even after reading, like, the proper serialized version of that chapter, like, it's still not a good time. And how I envy you. And how I envy you for that. Yeah, it's really hard to start Lord of the Mysteries because of how much info they throw at you to start and how you feel lost. I don't really feel lost. Like, my brain's pretty good at absorbing information, letting it dissipate so I can build, like, ideas and where the story might go, whether it be with characters who might join a crew, who might die in a crew, whatever. Like, I never really have trouble with that. I just think his specific style of writing is shit. I think it's pretty, and I don't think it's, insane to say, objectively bad. Also, random point, I tried lobster yesterday at a restaurant, for the same reason. As I was searching for the crab, and I discovered that I'm not allergic. I just don't like it. It tastes like crawfish tail. It is indeed a good day. I love Volume 6 so fucking good, I can't praise it enough. Speaking of Volume 6, let's get into chapter 1070 fucking 1. Nephis. Sunny has been introduced to fucking everybody, and now Nephis. Nephis stared at Sunny for a couple of moments, then briefly glanced at her apron and quietly cleared her throat. Right. She turned around and got back to staring the rice. A couple seconds later, she added without looking back. You'll have to wait for a couple more minutes, and, welcome back, Sunny. Did you make it out of Antarctica Center alright? What do you think? Sunny wondered how much Changing Star knew about the situation in the southern quadrant as he followed Cassie, Effie, and Kai to sit behind the dining table, settling on the wooden chair, which was far inferior to his own shadow chair. He sighed. Then get it out. then get out your fucking stolen chair. I wouldn't call it all right, but yes, I made it out. I'm already inside the siege capital of East Antarctica. Nephis' shoulders moved slightly. That's good. Ooh, she's nervous about something. That's interesting. Yeah, I dropped Koi after like 70 chapters, worse than Lord of the Mysteries somehow. In terms of like his writing style, that's insane. Nephis in an apron. I could at least stomach reading Lord of the Mysteries. Koi is just somehow worse. In the other streamer channels, I trolled over Jet because she appeared for the first time. You're weird, brother. Effie grabbed a few cans of something sugary and refreshing, then pushed one towards Sunny. Kai and I spent a whole month in transit aboard those giant ships. We were the first aboard the first batch of the second army to arrive, so we've been in East Antarctica for about a week. Gods, I thought the ocean was bad, but Antarctica? I've never seen that many nightmare creatures in my life. Not even in the dream realm. It's like two worlds are switching places. Kai nodded somberly. Indeed, even though there are secure evacuation corridors between the inland siege capital and the harbor strongholds, we had to fight a couple just to reach our designated sector. Luckily, there were no casualties. The second army is twice the size of the first army, so it's going to take 2 trips of the Navy convoy to bring all the southern quadrant. Fucking hell. Twice as big, shit. Both Effie and Kai were in the first wave of reinforcements, which is why they made a landfall around by the time Sunny himself had reached Antarctica. Sunny looked at them, wondering. East Antarctica was a large place, and it's not given that the pass would cross until the end of the operation. He really hoped that they would, though. Effie shook her head. Enough about us! What happened to you? You look a little bit different, Sunny. He did indeed look slightly different because of his marble shell. However, he knew that was not what Effie meant. He sighed and took a sip of the can she had given him. Okay, this is gonna be the stupidest fucking sentence we have ever read. If you can show us fan art of the series, like Nephis and an apron. In the Discord server, we have, like, a fair bit of, like, Nephis art, whether it be in the Shadow Slave section, the art section, or the 18+ section. We actually just put, I posted in art from Noptic of Cassie yesterday, and she looks stunning in that. Like I said last stream, I would fold. Isn't the Monwers pacing a bit shit? We will come to that conclusion when the entirety of the first nightmare is done. Which, by the way, they changed how they're doing it on Atheon. All of the first nightmare is going to be free. To anybody wondering who, like, wants to jump into the Monwer, on Atheon's comics right now, all of the first nightmare is free. And then from that point onwards, when Sunny leaves and he meets it with Jet, you're going to have to pay for the subscription, whether it be monthly or the entire seasonal batch. Just go buy the seasonal batch, it's cheap. So, they listened to us. They listened, and it's a great time. Well, as you know, I was assigned to the first regular company in the first month after our congealment of the army made it to Antarctica Center. Things were more or less fine. The field army split into 7 divisions, one remaining in the city of Falcon Scott, while the 6 others moved south to the established 6 more siege capitals. Sunny paused. I was assigned in the southernmost siege capital, and then went on a mission to retrieve a VIP from the remote research station. That was when everything went from bad to worse. The chain of nightmares had gone into overdrive, and three whole titans spawned in Antarctic Center, including an especially troublesome corrupted one. It took a lot to keep his voice from shaking at the mention of the winter beast. The others looked at him intently, and Sunny sighed. I ended up stuck in the research station for about a month, waiting for the evacuation by the battleship. However, the ship never arrived, and everyone in the settlement was eventually eviscerated by the powerful terror. My people and I were the only ones who survived, and we were in a bit of a predicament, though, because by that point, reaching the nearest siege capital was more easily said than done. He leaned back, remembering LL-49. At the start of the calamitous march north, his face darkened. And then we learned about the nearest siege capital, and had already been destroyed, so we went to the second nearest one, picking up a few refugees in the process. That was when I got trapped in a weird tunnel. Thanks for helping me out, by the way. Hell yeah, the goat's coming in. You finally thanked them. That's so nice. Bro, you're listening to Reddit? I'm not listening to Reddit. Luckily, Shadow Slave has escaped my Reddit feed, thankfully. It's not bad, they're just super picky because it's not exactly what they were hoping to read. It's free, just look at it and decide for yourself. Why would you listen to Reddit? That's true. From what I understand, the Reddit guys are just kind of massive. Well, first of all, it's Reddit. Of course, they're sore losers. But, like, apparently they're just really fucking bitchy and nitpicky. Hello, Oren. I wish I could read Shadow Slave for the first time. Fair. There's a lot of stories I wish I could read for the first time. Whoop. Go to the Shadow Slave Discord and check it. What, for the manhwa or in the spoiler section? The Shadow Slave Reddit is horrific. I just got the entire thing blocked. Fucking fair. He forced out a smile, looking at Nephis and Cass. Cass shook her head. Of course, we were quite surprised. The way you delivered the message, very original to say the least, and, very you. Hopefully the little kernel of insignia I gleaned was some help. Sunny chuckled. It helped. It helped. I don't know what that thing in the tunnel was, but we managed to escape from it. For a time. Sadly, the second Sadly, the second siege capital also ended up being destroyed, so I had to train the refugees all the way back to Falcon Scott. That was a hell of a journey, but what happened next was even worse. We had arrived at the last siege capital for close to 3 weeks, and in that time, about 90% of the civilization had been evacuated to East Antarctica. And after saying that, he remained silent for a while. Eventually, Sunny grimaced. The remaining 10% though all died, as did the millions of other people, as did the other millions destroyed in the siege capital. St. Tyrus, you know her, had been holding back the corrupted Titan I mentioned. Once she was defeated, the Titan swept in and killed everyone. The whole field army was wiped out. I was hard to kill, so I survived. Well, here I am. A somber silence settled in the brightly lit hall. Nephis and Cassie did not speak, probably not knowing what to say, and neither did Effie or Kai. The latter two were especially grim because they were in Antarctica now, too. So how many people had died? So many people had died, and what happened to Sunny was not could very easily happen to the two of them as well. Eventually, Kai sighed. I'm so sorry, Sunny. You've been through so much. I just realized I'm doing it again. I should be looking this way. With a smile, Sunny closed his eyes for a moment. That heart-wrenching memory of the Arctic Center clawed his heart, making him want to surrender to the dark, boundless emotion. With a smile, he shook his head. We've all been through a lot on the Forgotten Shore in our second nightmare. We've been through hell after hell, but it did really feel different this time. Maybe because I was responsible for the people, and maybe it's because it was happening right here on Earth and not some distant place. With that, Sunny glanced at Effie and Kai and said, trying to cheer them up, "You don't have to worry too much, though. Now that the operation is in its second phase, things will calm down a little. East Antarctica is in a much better spot than Antarctic Center. There are even more soldiers, more awakened, even more saints, and much fewer obstacles in the way." Honestly, they're getting it very fucking lucky. The Mountain King's just squatting. It looks so shit. We we had our rant about the Mountain King. Hi, Skywalker. We've not seen Oro's hair, though. Even in Chapter 5, we don't see his hair. Anyway. Sure, it's going to be a tough campaign and unexpected variables were bound to emerge, but I feel like the worst part is over, and with some luck, we will manage. He smiled, then secretly threw a glance at Nephis. She was now a part of one of the unexpected variables. Would Nephis have to do something? Would Nephis have something to say to him? As if feeling his glee, Changing Star turned around and walked the way, soon placing plates of fragrant rice and vegetables in front of each of the cohort. Her apron had disappeared at some point in the past few minutes. Sitting down, Nephis pushed the plate with the biggest portion towards Sunny, which caused Effie to stare at her indignantly. Nephis coughed. What? Everyone eat before it gets cold. That's very cute. That's incredibly fucking cute. And honestly, well needed. Sunny's probably starving. He is a tiny, meek boy. He probably needs all that fucking food. Finished Chapter 6. Is Chapter 6 out? That doesn't make... Wait, no, that doesn't make sense. I thought it was weekly. Oh, no, never mind. I'm thinking of Chapter 7. My bad. They turned their attention to the food, and for a while, Sunny felt delightfully at peace. Oof. It was so strange. He had gone through so much and had changed so much that now that he was back with his friends, it was so easy to slide into a familiar role. To smile and laugh as if he was the same old Sunny. It felt natural, even if a little small hidden corner of his heart remained dark and cold, untouched by the peaceful warmth of their reunion. Still, it wasn't bad, allowing himself to relax. Sunny concentrated on the food. It had been a long time since he got to eat something Nephis had cooked. The fried rice with vegetable was, indeed, much better than the military rations. It was delicious. Oh, I love to see it. God, you love to see the even like subtleness between how Nephis treats Sunny and everybody else. It's so fucking good. Did you talk about Avion adapting the first Nightmare 1-to-1? We did a power ranking stream because it was releasing at like what, 2 o'clock England time or something like that. And when it dropped, we all like went through it. It's on the second power ranking stream, or it's the last one that got uploaded on the channel. 3 ingredients: egg, fried, and rice. Brief levity. The small dinner was very enjoyable for Sunny. In fact, after being under crushing pressure for pretty much the entire past 4 months, this sudden moment of levity made him feel like he was on the verge of melting into a puddle of jelly. It was as though the outer edges of his beings had been turned into a harsh, rigid shell by the immense strain of the disastrous war, and now that that shell had suddenly disappeared, he could not quite remember how he could keep himself together without it. Still, he managed. The 5 of them ate and chatted relaxedly, sharing small details about their lives in the recent months. Sunny especially had a lot to say. All of them were experienced combatants, but he now possesses precious knowledge of the intricacies of the type of war Kai and Effie were soon to be exposed to. The Southern Campaign was different from the usual tribulations awakened force in the Dream Realm. The terrain was different, the climate was different, even the day cycle and night was different. More importantly, the forces arranged against them were different. These forces were on their side. In Antarctica, Ascended and Awakened were supposed to support the mundane soldiers and modern technology. Sunny had learned a tremendous amount of lessons about how to bring two, in no small part because of his command, a mix of forces. A mixed force of awakened and mundanes in conditions so desperate that anything less than perfect cohesion would meant death. Oh yeah, that is true. That's wifey right there. Also, I joined the Discord and you weren't lying, the 18+ fan art. Yeah. Yeah. Wait, why did we have the 18+ fan art? Oh, I remember. I wanted to post something about Jet. I wanted to post something about Jet and I didn't want to quell Quibbs' eyes. Something like that. Quibbs and the normal gen. Unlike him, who had been a small part of the exceedingly elite unit, both Kai and Effie were placed in the command of a large detachment, considering their rank and file soldiers. To them, this practical knowledge was more valuable than gold. Small things like using fire-resistant enchantments to increase the tactical flexibility of the MWP flamethrowers, efficiently triaging mundane soldiers that have been affected by the spell, managing the ammo consumption of a vehicle turret in relation to the essence consumed of the Awakened, and thousands more, could only be learned through experience, or be taught by someone with experience. Yeah. I thought it was Morgan at first. Is it not? Wait, which one are you talking about? Wait, which one are you talking about specifically? That's Ki-Song. That's Nephis. Those two are Jet. That's Cassie. That's Nephis. That's Cassie. That's Morgan. I don't know who that is. I think that's from Nier Automata. That's, I can't remember her name. The bunny from My Hero. Have we ever posted Morgan here? Jet, Cassie, Jet. That's Morgan. There we go. Yep. He's talking about Ki-Song? Right. I was like, I don't remember the last time we posted Morgan enough. Quibbs, get a hold of yourself. Anyway. Of course, his friends were bright people and immensely talented warriors. In time, they would have reached to the same conclusion. By the time, oh my god. But the time could very well cost their lives. That was why Sunny was in a hurry to share his hard-won expertise. The only problem was actually going over everything that was bound to take more time than he had. So at some point, he simply used the Blessing of Dusk enchantment of the Graceless Dusk to establish a mental connection to share his insight in a more direct fashion. Oh god, that's gonna be fucking weird. Needless to say, his sudden ability to transmit thoughts telepathically startled his friends greatly. Effie flinched, almost falling from her chair, and looked at him in the eyes with wide eyes. Ah! What the hell, Sunny? You're in my head! Sunny paused, realizing he should have probably warned them before establishing the connection. He chuckled awkwardly. Oh, sorry, I should have explained first. One of the enchantments of my tunic, it's a tunic, you troglodyte, allows me to establish a mental link with other living beings. Don't worry though, I can't read your thoughts. And in your case, Effie, even I wouldn't even want to. God, I shudder just imagining what's going through that deprived head of yours. See, he says this about Effie. What about Kai? Kai's definitely... He's definitely slapped around a bit. Like, something's going on there. It's in not safe for work. It's only a bikini of Sea-Song. Get out of that part of the server! That is made specifically for you to be away from! Well, heck, that bikini fan art spoilery too. He ain't like Effie? Bullshit. He keeps it way more subtle. I know Kai's a dog. Ain't no fucking way. I didn't go into it, Joshua. You said not safe for work, Ki-Song. Oh, I said it. Yeah. Fair. In any case, you have to willingly transmit the thought for me to receive it. Imagine it is thinking out loud. She hesitated for a few moments, then instantly sent over a mental image that made Sunny spit out his drink and glare at her with murderous eyes. I like how I say that. I like how I say that. And that's the first thing that pops up? Okay. Effie grinned and waved the hand. Alright, I get it. No, what a great enchantment. Kai wants until marriage. He's a pop idol! No, he doesn't! He's also an idol. I doubt he could sleep around without scandals. He's an idol. That's why I suspect he's a bit of a slut. Are you taking a piss? Kai defo going around on the Forgotten Shore. 100%. 100%. He needed soul shards. That's a joke. 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 Eventually, though, both Kai and Effie had to leave. They had just arrived in their assignment siege capitals, after all. So there was a lot for them to do. In fact, days like this, all five could freely gather into the Dreamworld together. They were bound. It was bound to be rare until Antarctica operation was over. Cassie excused herself too, returning to the root chamber of the tower to continue studying the runic circle. Sunny and Nephis were left alone in the sunlit hall. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, Josh, that's too far. Shut up. It's funny. It's funny. I still think to this day he and Ki-Song had a fling or something at some point. I don't think he'd do it with his manager. That doesn't seem right. Like, it doesn't seem like it's in her character to take advantage of someone like that. But he definitely slept around on the Forgotten Shore. He was 18 on the Forgotten Shore. Like, there's no fucking doubt in my mind. Is it him? Oop, never mind. Brought the Phyllis so see somehow. Exactly. Exactly. He hesitated. Throughout the dinner, Sunny had avoided speaking about the matters that gnawed on him. The war between the great clans and their plans for Antarctica. In fact, he was reluctant to start the conversation even now. However, he had already learned the unpleasant lesson of what happened when he postponed important conversations until the last possible moment. Sunny relaxed. Sunny's relaxed expression slowly changed into one of grim sharpness. Looking at Nephis, he leaned back and said, "You told me before that Valor and Song would most likely return to the Southern Quadrant into their private battlefield. How sure about that, after 4 months?" Nephis lingered for a while, her beautiful grey eyes clear and calm. Then she said, "I'm pretty sure. In fact, it's already been set in stone." Yikes. Sunny let out a resentful sigh. Damn it! He gritted his teeth, staring into the distance with a harsh expression. Suddenly, the shadows in the corner of the hall seemed much darker. This is insanity! Sunny shook his head, feeling a strong desire to break something. This is madness, Neff! I've been told the great clans have long given up an awakened world. Standing aside to watch the lives of thousands of millions of people be destroyed is already unforgivable. But coming to mess things up even further is just beyond all reason. I just don't understand. Jenkins and Star looked at him evenly. Then a strange, joyless smile appeared on her face. I can help with that. Sunny frowned. What exactly do you mean? Nephis, please make it, just make it make sense. You've done a lot in the past 4 months. You've done a lot for the past 4 months, Sunny. Cassie and I have not gone through as much as you have, but we didn't have it idle either. We've managed to discover a few things, although not as many as I would like. After all, it's only been a few months. They don't trust me yet. She paused for a moment. The war between Valor and Song has always seemed a little strange, and now I think I know why. A lot of things still remain unclear, but we did solve the most important mystery. Changing Star looked at him and said, the true reason why the great clans were at war. Do you want me to tell you? That will certainly help you understand. She teasing him, low-key. Let's just get to the point, dog. Shit. Amen. When Nephis smiles, she's definitely up to something. It's always concerning. Is my thing not on? It's not. I don't know why I bothered. Nah, Kai defo a freak. Everyone knows the nicest ones are the freakiest. He gets it. Weeaboo gets it. No, they're moving against each other. The fourth step. Sunny remained silent for a while, looking at Nephis with a somber expression. Eventually, a dark smile appeared on his face. Do tell. Nephis sighed and stood up and started gathering the dirty plates. Her movements were calm and unhurried, as they had not been discussing matters that could very well decide the fate of the whole world. Help me with the dishes. Sunny blinked, amused by the mundane blatantly of her request. He lingered for a moment, then shook his head and went over to give Changing Star a hand. As they cleaned the plates in the cold water produced by either a memory of the Ivory Tower itself, she started talking. I know it's been a long... I've known this for a long time that the great clans, especially Song and Valor, were opposed to each other. Despite being outwardly ununified, the symptoms of an approaching war were quite apparent if you know where to look. However, the reasons for this animosity was always eluded me. Ki-Song and Anvil had been comrades once. After all, I guess that doesn't really matter. My father was their comrade too. Sunny hesitated for a moment. Do they really need a reason though? Power is already a reason enough. They both have an unimaginable amount of it. But in my experience, those who possess great power, but those who possess great power are the ones most greedy for it. Speaking from experience, there, Sunny. Nephis shook her head. Maybe, but they're not fools. This war of theirs is a little too ill-timed and too destructive. The great clans stand to lose more from it than they would gain. There are other powers to consider too. House Knight, for example. Even the government or historian, whoever he might be. If both Ki-Song and Valor weakened by their clash, the lesser threats might very well swoop in to finish off the victor. She paused for a minute. So I suspect that has something to. There has to be something else at play. And it turns out there is. Although I only learned of it recently, I still don't know why the hospitality between the two great clans had suddenly escalated so much. All of the time they could have had. Now seems like a terrible time to go to war, honestly. I think I do know the true source of the conflict. Cassie glanced at her. Nope. I read Cassie's gonna turn the shadow chair into a culture as soon as she sits down, and it immediately filled in for Sunny. Fuck you, Soldier. God damn it, motherfucker. God damn it. Sunny glanced at her, consumed by a tense anticipation. It felt as though he was about to learn a great secret, one that would finally let him in on the full picture clearly, or at least show him the ways and the truth. Very few people in the world could have undiscovered this mystery, but Changing Star herself had been infiltrated of one of the great clans, while Cassie was helping her, and now he was going to be a benefactor to their effort. He was going to benefit in their effort. Sunny remained silent, waiting. Nephis calmly wiped the last plate, put it on the drying rack, and turned to him. White sparks ignited in her eyes. It has to do with the sovereigns and their domains. Sunny raised an eyebrow. Domains? I've heard a few people use that word, however, I still don't know what it means. Nephis nodded, then headed towards the stairs of the 6th highest level of the tower. Come, if you want. Sunny gave her a dark look and then followed. As they ascended the stairs, Nephis spoke. To people who know about the existence of the sovereigns, domains are synonyms with their rule. So, one might say that they belong to the domain, meaning they serve one of the supremes. However, there is a deeper secret here. As I found out, domains are not just an abstract concept. In fact, they are very real. A domain is the extension of a sovereign's aspect. I was right! Oh, shit! Okay, I wasn't expecting to actually be right. So, the more people actually integrated into this very system, I'm assuming the more power they gain. Right? Also, subscribe and like the stream if you haven't already, so YouTube can tell you to go. So YouTube can tell you that you enjoy this kind of content. But that's interesting. Sunny stared at her silently. He had suspected as much, but had never had any proof. More than that, he had no idea what the statement actually implied. So it's an ability like a transformation ability that the Saints possess? One that affects the area, perhaps? Nephis frowned. Not exactly. Once a Transcendent becomes a Supreme, they do unlock another ability. One that is tremendously powerful at that. You can call it the Supreme, Ultimate, or Pinnacle ability, I guess. But a domain is something separate from the Sovereign's ability. Is a separate thing from a Supreme ability. It is another innate function of the aspect, just like controlling soul essence or accessing the soul sea, a natural progression of one's ability to express their power. She lingered for a moment. Within the domain, a sovereign is nearly invincible. Mind you, I don't know everything about it yet. I just gleaned bits and pieces of information where I could. The point is, each step of the path of ascension, as well as the path of corruption, has its own meaning. The first path is the ascent towards divinity, while the second is a descent into profanity. They had reached the 6th level, which just like the first, only encompasses one spacious hall. This one was smaller than the great chamber where Hope had been chained, and suffused with a bright light. It was empty and Spartan. Yeah. With only a few pieces of wooden furniture and a bed occupying a small section of the vast stone floor. The white curtains of the bed canopy blowing in the wind. Apparently, this is where Nephis herself lived. She had okay, Nephis, I see what we're doing here. She had led Sunny to one of the 4 large balconies and stopped there. Looking at the breathtaking vista of the boundless blue sky, the clouds were rolling past the ivory island in a swirling radiant sea. Those who are dormant can awaken. After that, some rise from mundane to take the first step into oh my god. Some rise above the mundane to take the first step towards the divine, becoming ascended. Others descend into a corruption and become fallen. That is the meaning of the second step, rise or fall. The essence of the third step is transformation. Ascension is transcended the mundane origin, becoming transcendent. Transcendent. Huh! A fallen becoming corrupted by dark abyss, and thus is called corrupted. Sunny looked at her and frowned. Awakening, ascension, transformation. What about the fourth step then? What about the great and the supreme? Nephis met his gaze, and her cold eyes shining with the reflective sunlight. The essence of the fourth step is authority. I guess a god has to be god of something, or someone. At the fourth step, the sovereigns started a coalescence in the domains, and that, I think, is much more important than all forms of power they possess. I think only the domain can pave a way for the supreme to take the next step on the path of ascension, to become a sacred. Oh, that's fascinating. This is literally becoming a god. Okay. In like, I know that sounds really fucking silly, but like, that idea being you encompass what you become is really interesting, actually. You sleep, you awaken. That's interesting. Bro, you guessed the nameless guy was gonna, who the nameless guy was gonna sleep with, and you're not confident? I mean, like, fair. Become as gods. To be fair, I did call it out. You just confirmed it. That's all you did. I made a joke that he was gonna sleep with Effie because Effie's whole thing is about vitality. And if you're saying he has insane endurance, I'm gonna make a joke about that. But no, that's really interesting, actually. A master is a being who can step between the two realms. Who can willingly step between the two realms. A transcendent is somebody who is evolving past the physical plane and is achieving a new sense of self, a new actual body. Becoming that next stage is establishing an authority with that newfound body. Literally becoming a sovereign. Okay. That's interesting. I wonder how not so inspired people would take that then. I guess the next step after that would be encompassing it. Like, if the step goes reality transcendent, body transcendent, authority, and then it has to be consumption. You have to, like, encompass this idea that people have assumed you to have then. So sleeping shows you the truth. So it's like sleeping shows you the truth, waking up allows you access to that truth. Ascending gives you the ability to wiggle in and move around in it. Mastering gives you the ability to freely move within. Transcendence gives you the ability to move past your own body. Dominance would come after that, because you're not just you're not sleeping, you're not even transcending anymore. You literally have to take authority over the environment that you're in. So after that, you have to encompass it. You can't be a god by name, you need to be a literal god at that point. That's my theory anyway. That's where I'm gonna go with that. I will say it every time, I love this power system so much. Yeah, no, this power system's really fucking cool. Ascended and Master are the same thing. I'm thinking like Sleeper, Awaken, Ascended, and I'm throwing around Ascended and the Master is like by proxy same things, you know? Can't say nothing but nice prediction. She does love to swallow things. Amen. I wonder how the 7th tier would go then. I mean, I guess the 7th tier would just be being it, no? Understanding the existence, taking its existence, moving within its existence, evolving within its existence, taking power over its existence, consuming said existence, becoming said existence. I imagine that's how this is going to go out. Anyway. Authority! Please follow my authority! Anytime I say that word, I just think of Eric Cartman. Sunny looked down at the rolling sea of clouds. He was considering Nephis's words. Some of what she said was common knowledge. People had long theorized that there was a profound meaning to the way the spell had named different ranks. Ascended were called Ascended because they had risen above the human nature. Transcendent were called Transcendent because they had broken past it, assuming some traits of the divine. Supremes then took another step towards godhood. That step seemed to be tied to authority. And that makes sense. Really, calling the progression was similar to how nightmare creatures grew in class. A tyrant was all about rule and authority too. However, there was something in what Nephis had told him that caught Sunny's attention. He glanced at her and said, "Did you say start to coalescence in the domains?" That word meant much more than one would think. If there was a start, there would also be an end. Much more importantly, it hinted that a domain is not something that Supremes simply gain. There was progress to it. There was a process to it. Nephis smiled. Indeed, you caught at the very heart of the issue. The domains are not set in stone. As all forms of power, they can change and be changed. Simply put, a domain can grow. In fact, I suspect that it must grow for a Supreme to realize the potential, and therefore a domain can diminish. This brings up another idea. If a domain can grow and a domain can diminish, what happens if you fail? What happens if you don't know the inner ability of your aspect then? Like, alright. Come back with me and let's try and discuss this. Come on, class. Let's come back. Let's speculate. Let's think about this. If domains are something that you can actively do as a supreme, and you are incapable of becoming a sacred without one, which obviously makes sense. You're actively trying to become a god. To become a god, you need to have establishments there, right? And if it is so deeply ingrained into your aspect, what would not understanding your aspect do to that then? Because we learned, we got spoiled in chat fucking ages ago. That when we were doing the power ranking, that Mordred has an aspect ability, or he has his aspect legacy, but it's not true. Like, he isn't gone about it the correct way like Sunny has. So if Sunny were to get a domain as a supreme, and he were to somehow assimilate all that power into himself and become a sacred, he would then become the god that the people view him as, or become the idea of what those people view him as, because now he has a deeper understanding of his aspect legacy. He has followed it properly, and therefore has learned how to assimilate not only with the people have trusted him, and now he has his power and he understands it intricately. Say someone like Mordred does it, and he doesn't have that thing, what would happen to Mordred if he tried to assimilate with it? Would it just, not work? What if someone like Effie, who doesn't have an aspect legacy, for what we understand, who doesn't have an aspect legacy, tries to assimilate with it? Would she even gain a domain if she doesn't have? Would she even be able to have access to what would be known as a domain if she doesn't have a legacy? This is so many questions. This feels like a very fickle line to follow. You've been lied to. I'm not saying it has something to do with supremacy. I'm saying it has something to do with your domain and being able to truly assimilate with it. Mordred has not unlocked his aspect legacy. That's insane. What? Oh, so I have been lied to. What does your aspect legacy have to do with all this here? Your domain is an outer aspect of your aspect ability. We've just been fucking told this. And your aspect legacy is you diving deeper into understanding your aspect. Understanding the greater whole of your abilities. That's what an aspect legacy comes down to. I'm speculating the idea of those two correlating. Would it be easier? Would it be harder? Like, what's going on? That's what my brain's asking. I feel like having one and understanding it properly would make the assimilation easier. Your domain is not related to your aspect legacy, it's more related to your source. Brother, they're both related to your source. That's why I'm asking the question. Anyway, let's carry on reading. Sunny's eyes gleamed. He started to understand. I see now. Of course, that makes so much sense. He looked at her initially. The shadows around him grew darker. Now, how exactly can domains grow? By people being in it, no? Changing Star lingered for a moment and then turned to look at the sky. Well, it's hard to say. All domains are unique after all. Just like all aspects are unique. However, there are some common things that all of them most likely share. So I would say that there are two ways. One is the natural way. That is how the ancient people of the Dream Realm spread their authority to build their domains. Yeah, that makes sense. Sunny slowly nodded. People like Noctis and Aurora the Nine had also been awakened. However, he knew very little about how to reach the higher ranks of power. There had been no nightmare had been no nightmares in the ancient past, nor had there been a spell. The spell? Nephis noticed the look of realization on his face and nodded. Yes, the spell provides training wheels for the awakened of the lower ranks, creating a harrowing but swift and streamlined road for them to reach greater power. So there are many tools that are given to us, that we have taken for granted. So, why wouldn't it provide assistance for the sovereigns as well? The spell has created a straightforward way for the Supremes to expand their domains. She took a step back and placed her hand on the ivory wall of the Great Progranda. Do you get it yet? Sunny stared, silent. A few moments later, he said in a low voice, "The Citadels?" Correct. No matter what authority you wield, it can only spread through two mediums. Think, territory or people. The Citadels naturally encompass both. Oh my god, we all knew along that the spell creates the gateways, which serve as the heart and purpose of the existence of a Citadel. However, it turns out it is much more of it. Much more. She lingered for a few moments and then frowned. I too am not sure about the true scope of what functions in the Citadel hide. What I do know, however, is that saints already have the ability to bind to them. We have not found what the binding entails exactly, but I think it is safe to say that if a saint serves a sovereign and takes control of a Citadel, the sovereign's domain expands. That's interesting. That's interesting. That's really fucking interesting. I believe the aspect legacy is a boon given externally by the spell, though. Like, it's not a part of your aspect naturally, like your aspect naturally is. I don't think your aspect and your aspect legacy are necessarily different things, though. If we look at Sunny as the only example of somebody we know for a fucking fact has, well, Nephis has one, I think. But, like, we see how Sunny uses it, and his entirely encompasses how his general aspect works. So I imagine they're very similar, which is why my brain is trying to connect the dots between a domain, an aspect, and your aspect legacy as like a complete triangle, right? That's where my brain is tending to go. Aspect legacy is a part of the aspect naturally, but it gives rewards like the Shadow Lantern the spell gives. No, Neph does not have one. I thought when we saw her thing, she did. Is he confusing aspect legacy with lineage? No. I know there's a difference there. I thought it was, though. I thought she did. When the very, very brief time we had to look at Thingy. Anyway. It seems that not all Citadels are created equal. There are some that are very special and some that are more desirable, like Bastion or Ravenheart, or there's Island. It is not a coincidence that each of the great clans had fought to conquer the locations marked on a map. You found the Ebony Tower. Sunny looked at her sharply, considering the implications. Bastion, Ravenheart, the Ivory Tower. From what he knew, each of the places he had served a stronghold of one of the demons. The House of Night was in possession of the fourth one. The fifth one was located in the utterly lethal Hollow Mountains, which Clan Valor had nevertheless put a lot of effort into exploring, disregarding the danger. The sixth one, the last one, considering the Weaver did not seem to have possessed a stronghold. The sixth one was the Black Pyramid far to the east, the pyramid that seemed to be somehow tied to the Chain of Nightmares. Stoney took a deep breath. So what exactly are you trying to say? Nephis shook her head. Isn't it obvious? Both Anvil and Ki-Song need to expand their spheres of influence to perfect the domains. However, there are only so many human Citadels going around, which means that the two domains, or at the very least the two particular domains, can't coexist for one to be perfect. It has to swallow the other. She grew quiet for a moment and then said somberly, "That is the true reason between the war of their clans." Sunny looked away, an ugly grin contorting his face. A sense of dark, vicious anger was smoldering in his heart. Nephis sighed. Antarctica was the first major battlefield of this war, but it won't be the last. Most of what will happen in the Dream Realm was after both sides delivered their strike. But the first act is also the most important. If one of the major clans managed to gain a momentum in the South Quadrant, their advantage might very well snowball into an unstoppable avalanche. So the clans in Antarctica will be extremely fierce and bloody. In fact, Anvil is sending his own daughter here. Morgan will lead the Valor forces in the Southern Quadrant. That alone shows how serious the intentions are. Changing Star studied the clear skies that turned to Sunny and said, her voice even, "So, do you understand?" Interesting. Aspect legacies differ from each person. Just to get a weapon as the legacy or an object. Alright, that's enough about aspect legacies. Yeah, I'll probably just learn more as we go on. Know the enemy. But that's a cool little info dump. It's good to know that I was right about domains. I just wonder how the assimilation progress will go then. And what it means to be a sacred. What do you consider the worst flaw of them all? Out of every flaw we know? Probably Cassie's. Being blind fucking sucks. Her master abilities kind of make up for that, but you know, I think it's still pretty fucking bad. Though I do suspect Mordred's suck. My Wi-Fi died. What did I miss? We got a breakdown about how domains work, and I threw around how a domain might function with other shit. Same thing with legacy clans. Then we had a whole conversation about aspect legacies and how that might come into foray. But yeah, that's just me. Anyway, know the enemy. Supreme, Josh, not sacred. Did I not say that? Whatever. Sunny remained silent for a while, responding only when the pressure of the floor started to tear into a searing pain. Yeah, I think I understand. Oh yeah, right. Sunny can't be asked a question. I forgot. I always forget that's how his floor works. It's not just, yeah, he can only tell the truth. It's if you even ask a question, you have to answer it. That's funny. Fuck off. Most things became clearer now. Finally, he knew more about the Sovereigns and the power they wielded. Awakened Masters, Saints, all of them were bestowed with great strength, but the strength was kind of a personal kind. Supremes were without a doubt the most fearsome warriors, however the true advantage laid in their authority. He was not too certain about what exactly a domain did. Even Nephis did not know the details after all, but understood the concept. A domain was a physical manifestation of a sovereign's aspect, a territory where they rule was supreme. And that manifestation, while representing their personal strength, railed on external factors to exist and grow. Authority influenced power over someone, and not just yourself. All those things were conveniently intertwined in the form of citadels, which the spell created. Citadels. Sunny looked down, and as if trying to preserve the Avery Tower with his glance, he then sighed. There's still a lot of unanswered questions. On the surface, the intention of the Sovereign seemed obvious. Well, with the exception of Historian, who was the most mysterious out the three. They had established the nascent domains in unique citadels that had once belonged to the Diamonds, and then slowly expanded their rule, uplifting loyal ascended to sainthood, and eliminating those transcendents who refused to swear fealty to them, thus veiling to become vessels to their domain. The only two exceptions were of House and Knights, and a much lesser extent the government. Both were convenient to have around to fulfill a necessary function. The seat of power of the Great Clan Knight, on top of that, was located at the deadly waters of the Storm Sea. Launching an invasion into the territory was a dire task. But what about Professor Opal's theory? Indeed, something did not add up. If Anvil of Ki-Song, if Anvil of Valor and Ki-Song were obsessed with perfecting their domains, why would they suppressing the emergence of saints? The more transcendents there were, the more human citadels there would be in the dream realm, and the more territory there would be to conquer. Come to think of it, if they really did have no choice but to wage war on each other, then why had they waited for 2 decades to start it? Why was their only attempt on the conquest now? Why did they have to wait for the Chain of Nightmares to descend upon the Southern Quadrant? Sunny frowned and then glanced at Nephis. I feel like we're missing a key of information here. This timing, it's all just too strange and hateful. Yeah. Maybe there's a time limit going on. I've only got 2 thoughts on why they're expanding it now and not like before, right? And it's either the idea that Astorian is on his way, so they want to get as strong as possible to try and kill him. Which is why he's been like treated as this all mysterious fucking being that shall not be named. Or they understand the power levancy that would go on if more Supremes would come from said saints if they didn't join their side. And if that happens, that means general nightmare creatures, like the theory that the stronger humans get via the nightmare spell, the stronger the nightmare creatures they have to fight become. And therefore, an ongoing war would just get stronger and harder to face off. I think, I'm thinking more towards the first one than the latter, but I don't know. Fucking Astorian is still a weird little man to me. Of course, there was a possibility it was all just a coincidence. Maybe Ki-Song simply decided to use the power imbalance of the death of St. Cormac and Mordred's ascension was created. But Sunny felt like there was more to this war than he had thought. Neff leaned on the parapet of the sunlit balcony inside. We certainly do. The Sovereigns have many secrets, and I won't claim to know all of them, but does it really matter what they're hiding? The truth remains the same. Sunny scoffed. She was right. Nephis was determined to destroy the Sovereigns because they suppressing humanity in its conquest of the spell, and more importantly, stood in her way. She did not care what motivated the Supremes, and neither did Sunny. He hated them all the same. You'd think they'd let saints become Supremes. I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying like they don't want to let saints become Supremes because of the theoretical power, discrepancy that would happen because of it. You know? Valor and Song deserved each other, as far as he's concerned, but Antarctica was about to be swept up in the treasonous knife, and that he would not allow to happen. Look at you go. Look at you go. Do you hear yourself? Who would try and deny the great clans? Do you imagine yourself to be someone capable of stopping them? You're definitely not. Sure, you have some power, but in the grand scheme of things, you're a bug. A single master, no matter how strong, is only capable enough to be an expendable pawn. Sunny grated his teeth. It was true. No matter how incensed he was, there was no doubt that he could. The best Sunny could do was to achieve the maximum the damage that the great clans was bound to evacuate effort. A little. I felt like I was having a stroke there. That only made him angrier. Well, then that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to prepare, learn no weaknesses, and try and suppress the fallout of the despicable acts as much as I can. Is the Sin of Solace now talking without being summoned? I think it is, which is strange. Luckily, Sunny knew the right person to provide him with the information. knowing that the opponent was planning to come first. He remained silent for a few moments and then glanced at Neff. So, what's exactly going to happen? What would her first move be? She smiled wistfully. In a few months, the Great Clans will announce that they're sending reinforcements to the Southern Quadrant. Both Song and Valor will dispatch a strong force to Antarctica. Not too strong, only a couple of Saints and a dozen or two Masters, and a few hundred Awakened officially. The mission will be support the evacuation army in fighting the nightmare creatures. In reality, however, they're being set to fight each other. Sunny scoffed, slightly confused. How, though? Most of the human forces on the continent are concentrated in siege capitals, with very little reason to venture outside. There are Saints and their Saints and their forces just going to attack the cities? Nephis shook her head. No, at least they won't. At least I think they won't. Not unless there is a very good reason to. In truth, they won't be staying behind the walls of the siege capital most of the time, because they have a secondary goal as well. One that requires going outside and attacking the nightmare creatures. Sunny tilted his head a little. And what goal would that be? Changeling Saw simply looked at him, and for a moment, Sunny's eyes widened slightly. The pyramid? What? Only a spoonful of Saints. Yeah, only like a handful that they don't really need. Also, the fuck? Are they, like, right on top of where it is? Hey, the Sin of Solace always speaks the truth. That's why he's goated. Shows a large spoon. About, like, 8 Saints, roughly. Nephis nodded. Song and Valor are going to be in a race to conquer it. They will search for the nightmare gates that can be used to establish a beach hold in the unemployed region of the Dream Realm, where the Black Pyramid is located. Once they find a comparatively safe ford, they'll use it to call to transport the Saints, Masters, and Awakened there, establishing a temporary outpost. She paused and looked at him and continued. These outposts will be used to launch expeditions towards the pyramid. The end goal is to find a relatively safe place in the close proximity to it, build a true fortress there, and then use that fortress as a staging ground to conquest the tomb. Changing style lingered for a moment. It might be easier to think of it in terms of the Forgotten Shore. Each gate is connected to the seed of the nightmare somewhere in the region. Some seeds might be in the depths of the Crimson Labyrinth, and someone who follows the core to the area found around them will be drowned by the Dark Sea. However, some seeds, might be located on higher grounds. Those who enter the Dream Realm near the seeds will be able to survive, and they will slowly make their way through the labyrinth. The end goal is to find a place like the Dark City, build a fortress akin to the Bright Castle, and then use it to conquer the Crimson Spire. What an apt metaphor. Yeah, no, that's a great and easy to follow metaphor. I do think they would fail in that conquest, though. I have a guttural feeling that something's telling me that is an effectively bad idea. I wonder if there's aliens and shadow slaves. Yeah, there has to be. There has to be. It was cute to think they could make it there. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Sunny couldn't help but to smile darkly. They might find it a bit of a task and much harder than they'd imagined it to be. In theory, such a plan seemed solid. Each of the hundreds, if not thousands, of nightmare gates in East Antarctica was connected to the seed of nightmare in a region surrounded by the Tomb of Ariel. By relying on the core, these gates would be used to enter the Dream Realm, somewhere near the corresponding seed. Then, by pinpointing a suitable safe area and the gate connected to it, the Great Clans would transport their forces into the Dream Realm, without risking instant annihilation. Those forces would then explore and fight their way towards the Black Pyramid. The region would contain several citadels, even. By conquering one, Song or Valor would be able to establish a safe and stable corridor to ferry fighters and supplies over. If there were no citadels except for Tomb of Ariel itself, then the Saints would have to play the role of a ferryman. Yes? Why are you yelling my name? Lava. Should I be concerned about why you're yelling my name? It's a main nightmare. Not giving the guy black hair is crazy, by the way. Not giving the guy black hair is crazy, by the way. Come join the Discord. It's in the link in the description. But yeah, fuck it all. That's funny. But the mysterious desert was utterly lethal. It was much worse than even the Forgotten Shore, and the forces of the Great Clans would not only have to fight against endless floods of nightmare creatures populating it, they would have to fight against each other. Sunny couldn't help but to shiver. Nephis, meanwhile, simply nodded. I forgot. The task will be a hellish one indeed, but these are the Great Clans, Sunny. No matter how you might feel about them, their fearsome reputation is not unearned. Both valor and song represent the absolute pinnacle of humanity's achievements and wealth in warfare. If they can't do it, no one can. I believe in you. The real goals of the Great Clans feverishly seeking a suitable gate in East Antarctica without doubt ambushing and slaughtering each other in the process. Army patrols and the infrastructure of the evacuation corridors could very well become collateral damage to the clashes. Not to mention they were bound by the nightmare creatures in a frenzy, and maybe even lead abominations back into the cities. There would be some violence within the siege capitals as well, or at least bloody clandestine operations. 2 of the 3 scenes currently present in East Antarctica belong to the warring factions. After all, if they were servants of Ki-Song had an opportunity to deal with St. Tyrese, Falcon Scott, they would have taken it, without a doubt. The consequences of the civilians sheltered in the city be damned. Bastards. In any case, Sunny had some idea about how things would progress in the coming months. Now, there was already enough for him to start thinking. Eventually, he glanced at Nephis and hesitated for a moment. There was one question that was still gnawing at him. Sunny sighed. And where will you be when all this is happening? Nephis looked at him. White sparks danced in her eyes, and then she said, she suddenly smiled. Where do you think? Of course, I'll be accompanying Morgan, sister dearest, to Antarctica. Cassie and all the firekeepers and I, all of us will be going with her. I told you that Valor doesn't trust me much yet. What better way to earn the trust and merit than on the battlefield? He stared at her silently for a while. I guess there is none. So we're going to meet in the Southern Quadrant? Changing Star shrugged. If you wish. Or you can stay out of this mess entirely. You made it very clear that you don't want anything to do with the Great Clans on the war, so it's up to you if you want to get involved. Sunny smiled darkly. Up to me, huh? Yeah, no, that ship sailed. He already knew that Nephis had to put a fucking lasso on that shit. Oh my god, where's her golden rope? She's using that shit as a fucking lasso of truth. He really could hide in some remote siege capital, use his service record to exalted status to get him a cushy assignment and spend the rest of the campaign relaxing, as much as anyone could relax in Antarctica. However, was he willing to? Did he want to? Not really. If I do not go to hell, who else will go? Sunny had once told the Sin of Solace that the Great Clans were free to act with impunity because there was no one around them to hold them responsible. He did not wish to teach anyone lessons in responsibility, but he did want to teach those bastards a lesson in humility. A harsher and more painful lesson, the better. I'll make them pay. I'll go to hell and drag them with me. Sunny looked at the boundless blue sky, then turned to Nephis and smiled. See you in Antarctica then. Oh, hell fucking yes. Yo, our MCs are goated, Loki. We had Arthur proving why he's a sick ass and... Well, shit, I guess we're in chapter 7. Oh, fuck. Where was we? Yeah, chapter 77. Or 1077 even. But yeah, we had Arthur proving why he's low-key a sick-ass MC, and now we have Sunny proving why he's a sick-ass MC. Oh, hell yeah, I'm all here for it, baby. As she said, she needs no bound to make him obey. She didn't ask shit, by the way. She literally didn't do anything. She was just like, you can come if you want. There is no need for you to be involved. You said you even don't want to. This is Sunny's choice. This is his choice to be a prick. She was like, you don't have to if you don't want to, Sunny. I'm gonna go piss real quick. Don't forget to join the Discord, like, and subscribe. Yeah, there we go. Sunny chose the pettiest path. He's still kind of wrong, but it's fine. He still farms. Sunny just a different type of aura. He aura farms, but differently because he's built different. True. Anyway, Midnight Sun. Sunny had come to Antarctica. The winds. Hello? We back? We're back. The sun itself was distant and cold, but it never disappeared from the blue expanse of the sky. There was just no end to it, right? There was just no end to the night. Now, there was no end to the day. The twilight of the long dawn was gradually turned into daylight. And now that October was in full swing, the whole continent was sufficed with bright radiance. And would be for the next 5 months. Song or Veil? Give me Night. Fuck both of them. Fuck both of them. Song. The situation on the continent, however, was far from light. It was grim and dire, as if Antarctica had been submerged deeper into an endless cycle of dreadful nightmares. The chain of nightmares was escalating with each day, and the evacuation army was forced to take more and more desperate measures to withstand it. The remains of the once thriving city was buried under the gnawing snow. With a skeletal remains of a tall building rising above the dark cliffs, this settlement had not been chosen to become a siege capital. And so it was abandoned from the start of the campaign. Now it was nothing but a desolate ruin, and from time to time that ruin would turn into a battleground, sustaining even more damage. Currently, a furious battle was coming to an end at the streets of the abandoned city. A patrol of soldiers had been chased here by a swarm of nightmare creatures and was forced to stand their ground. The humans had fought violently and almost defeated the attacking abominations, but sadly the sounds of combat woke a fiend that had been slumbering in the ruins. Yikes. Song got 7 reasons you should stay. No, 8 reasons. All the reasons, you mean? Yo! Yep. 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 I remember people talking about this moment, like, Sunny is just fine being Nephis' slave. He's doing exactly what he wants. All in the while ignoring that it was Sunny's choice. Every day I'm glad I left. To be fair, Weeaboo, we have a heavy precedence here of actively trying to read, dissect, and learn from the characters. AKA, we choose to be literate here, and not like TikTok or Reddit, in where these people can't type out their own name properly, let alone read. So, shame on all of you for having not seen Neff propaganda poster. What though? We want you? What, the Valor wants you on? I've got it on my PC. I've got that shit nice and ready for the YouTube video when it comes out. Where the fuck is it? External, anime, Shadow Slave. Is it here? I think I've got it. No, do I not have it? No, please. Please tell me I've got it. Where is it? It's not in the 18 plus, is it? No, it's just a lot of really loot yet. Forgot about that. No, do I not have it? Oh, no, please someone tell me someone posted it. Oh my god. If anyone can find a poster of Neff being like for Team Valor, please give me it. Oh my god, I'm so mad I don't have it anymore. It's wait, it's on one of the thumbnails. Wait a minute, it's on one of my thumbnails. Let me get it up. Let me get it up. I know it's in the DC somewhere. I've got to have it on. I swear I've used it as a thumbnail. Nope, those are my normal videos. I need my live streams. Yeah, it's not on the road to 1,000. Yeah, there we go. I do. I do have it. One minute. No. There it is. See? I did use it for a thumbnail. Join Antarctica. I knew I had it somewhere. I knew I had it somewhere, damn it. Fucking hell, I forgot about that. Jesus. God, Antarctica was so... Fucking Volume 5 was so long. God damn. Why did I read all of that? On stream, at the very least. The creature had torn a bloody path through the ramming abominations, and then slaughtered the soldiers. Now, only one of them remained alive. Lieutenant Cassie was struggling desperately to control one of her MWPs. But it was of no use. The mighty machine had been damaged too severely and toppled. Its vascular systems were completely offline. Cheerleader Neff vid I posted in 18 plus. I don't know why it got deleted. Oh, I know what one you're talking about. Good thing this volume's rather short. Thank fuck. She could have brought it back, relying on nothing but her piloting skills. But most of the limb hydraulics were destroyed, and the frame itself had been bent and torn. Large sections of the alloy armor was already missing. Even the coolant path had been bleached, turning the pilot's cabin into a scorching inferno. The paint she had used to decorate its walls with drawings was blistering and melting. Catherine herself felt as if she was going to melt too, but of course she wouldn't. The abomination that had slaughtered her squad was currently on top of the NWP, clawing at the war machine with its powerful limbs. The armor was parting before the terrifying claws like paper. Each strike was a consecutive shock through the frame, tossing the caffeine up and down and tightly in the tight confines of her safety harness. The creature was going to kill her long before he had a chance to. Curse it. There was no way for her to fight against the fallen demon. That was what the... What is going on? I keep lagging out. And it's really fucking annoying. There was no way for her to fight against fallen... Oh, yeah. But even knowing how hopeless the situation was, Caffeine stubbornly controlled the only functioning arm of the NWP, building it at the elbow to press 7 barrels of kinetic machine gun installed on its forearm of the wall platform onto the abomination's side. The barrel spun, unleashing a flood of heavy tungsten rounds into the demon's impenetrable hide. In just a second, the machine spat close to 200 armor-piercing bullets. However, all of them slightly ricocheted off the harrowing creature's skin, not even bruising it. The fiend was pushed slightly to the side, and then it glimpsed at the firing weapon with its mad, burning eyes. In the next moment, the abomination's claws struck, ripping through the NWP's arm and severing it completely. The stream bugging for real. Josh fixed my Wi-Fi router. Here's the thing, my Wi-Fi router's fine. I think I might have it on low latency, though. And I think that's what's going on. That or some fuck shit's going on. I thought it was just my end. I think. Yeah, it says everything's fine now, though. Hopefully. The next boat finally reached the cockpit, destroying the screens and letting Caffeine see the fiend with her own 2 eyes. Gritting her teeth. At least there was some cool air now. She knew she was about to die, but she didn't. The battle had paused. Plumps of thick smoke rose from above the ruins, obscuring the sun and submerging the battlefield into true deep darkness. And at that moment, the darkness suddenly swirled and moved forward. Caffeine blinked, thinking she was seeing things. 2 giant hands suddenly rose from the ground, grabbing the fallen demon by its shoulders. The hands were matte, inky black skin, slender waist, and long hands. Dexterous fingers that ended in sharp claws. Those claws cut through the abomination's indestructible skin with ease. What the fuck is this? Then the dark hands pulled and ripped the fiend apart. Half of its monstrous body landed on the left of the fallen MWP, and the other half right on the river of blood and Visica splashed, falling into a turned-up dirt. Yikes. And just like that, the terrifying creature had been slaughtered. What? Kathleen suddenly felt cold. The fallen demon was a harrowing monster, so what kind of otherworldly horror was capable of killing it with such ease? As she stared, a figure emerged from the darkness, landing softly on the torn flame of the MWP. It was a young woman with porcelain skin and black hair. It was a young man with porcelain skin and black hair, his eyes glistening like dark gemstones. Despite the bitter cold of the nightmarish surroundings, he wore no armor and wielded no weapons. His slender body was covered in a light tunic with black silk. When the young man appeared, the darkness enveloped the destroyed city suddenly became deeper, darker, and more frightening. The sight of him was such a stark contrast to the ravaged, war-torn ruin that he seemed more like an apparition than a living being. Catherine gulped. The young man lingered for a moment, then looked at her calmly. "You alright, soldier?" "Oh, gods, he speaks." It's the devil. It took her a few seconds to digest what the area stranger had said. But what? He leaned forward and grabbed the jagged edges of the breach in the cockpit armor, easily pulling the alloy apart to a widened gap. "I said, are you alright?" Caffeine lingered for a moment. Yeah, the stranger nodded. "Good. I'm a Sunless Sunless of the special Recon Alliance unit. You can call me Master Sunless or Major Sunless. Let's get you out that thing." Nice. That's cool. Cool little side tangent there. That's sick. Oh, there it is. I like little moments like that. That's fun. What's this? Army Scouts. Sunny helped the pivot climb out the ravaged NWP and then looked around somberly. The ruins of the city was covered by the signs of a fierce battle. Sadly, he had been too late to arrive. Most of the soldiers were already dead. Damn it! He had noticed a commotion in the ruins by chance, while making his way through the wilderness to accompany a different mission. If not, not for the habit of sending his shadows in a wide circle around him, Sunny would have never known about the squad of human soldiers had been trapped here. He had used Shadow Step to arrive as swiftly as he could, but ended up saving only one. With a sigh, he helped the young woman climb from the wreck of the MWP, summoned the Endless Spring, and handed it to her. Here, drink some water. The pilot kept staring at him strangely, but he was long used to such stares. He gave her some time, and then drank the bottle back and asked, "Yes, Miguel." "Never mind, Miguel." He gave her some time, and then took the glass, it's a glass bottle? That makes sense. Making sure to keep his voice neutral. "I'm sorry about your comrades, but how did you guys end up in this sector? Did you not receive a message that it was designated as a black zone by the Army Command?" The young woman grimaced. "We did, sir, but by then it was already too late. We were on a route patrol along the 17th evacuation corridor, then we came under attack by a swarm of nightmare creatures. We beat them back and pursued. Sadly, a few minutes later, the gate opened right behind us. We were quickly surrounded. We had to run for our lives. We ran all the way to the city and..." Evaporated. That was a cry for help, yeah. I think Miguel just got deleted. I think he got Thanos snapped by accident. She sighed. Sunny awkwardly patted the pilot and soldier. "I know, I've seen a thing or two. I know a thing or two about bad luck, Lieutenant. It can get everyone. You did your best." Internally, he was shaking his head. "Corridor 17? That place just attracts trouble, doesn't it?" Corridor 17 connected one of the largest siege capitals in the region of the coastal fortress. Maintaining it was of vital importance to the evacuation effort, but recently it had become harder and harder to keep the area clean. Sunny himself was on a mission to scout out potential threats to that corridor. After reaching East Antarctica, he had basically received a carte blanche to choose any assignment he wanted. Out of those suitable for Ascendant, of course. In the end, he refused another command assignment and requested to be sent to the special recon assistance unit. My brain sees recon assistance unit or recon assist. Man, could Google do that? Reconnaissance, even. Recon assist, fucking hell, reconnaissance. Mr. Sunny, I don't feel so good. The SRU was responsible for prowling the abomination-infested wilderness in search of a target that would pose a serious threat to the siege capitals, keeping tabs on their movements and even attempting to lure them away from the cities from time to time. Powerful tyrants, terrors, and even titans were those were the creatures that the Army Command had to observe and track. New feature unlocked? Yeah, apparently. Like, I didn't know that was fucking possible. Needless to say, the task was extremely dangerous and often lethal. The SRU consisted exclusively of powerful masters, and each of them had an aspect uniquely suited for such work. Fuck off. And had them observe and track. They're finally adding good features, yeah. That's sick! Hell yeah. Needless to say, the task was As for Sunny, he was both. The assignment suited him fine, despite the tremendous dangers, partially because it granted him a lot of freedom in his movements and actions, partly because he was reluctant to be put in charge of soldiers again. Fair. Being a leader had never been something Sunny enjoyed. The previous time was enough. It was too much, really. He glanced at the MWP pile inside. Catch your breath. We won't stay long, though. This place isn't safe, and I'm on a timer. Random question. Are notebooks meant to just fall in half randomly? No. No. Joshua, any theories on what domains are and what they might look like as of now? Do you think of them? We had a whole conversation about how domains might function in the ability of ascension. We also had a little bit of an idea about how they might be like a thing, but yeah. Also, just wanted to make sure. Yeah. Only if it's for dramatic effect. It's Failure's life. It's all a dramatic effect. Let's be fucking real. Looking at her, you couldn't help but to remember the irregulars. Sunny's face darkened. Oh, don't make me remember. Most of the people were dead now. Only Kim and Luster remained. And perhaps Quinton? There was no news on the gallant healer. He was more than more likely gone as well. I still need to set up the fucking members. Luster had been shipped back to the NSQC long ago. He is now slowly recovering in a hospital complex of the academy and is doing quite well. Sunny knew of it because Kim remained in close contact with the lucky guy. In fact, he suspected that there was something going on between them. Okay, fair enough. The young relationship, however, had to remain a long distance for now. Kim herself was still here in East Antarctica, but was kept far away from the battlefield. After returning from the Arctic Center, she had been transferred to the Strategic Intelligence Department of the Army Command. Oh, where she's going to be much more useful there. Now her aspect was being used to determine the vulnerabilities and various nightmare creatures on a wide scale, and decimate the knowledge of the troops. Yes, that's a much better use of that. Right in the middle of my Shadow Slave notes. I write down all my notes after stream now, because it looks awkward when I'm just, like, there typing really fast. So I, like, write it all down. Sometimes I'll go through stream to remember a couple of things, but yeah. There were many such specialists stationed at the army headquarters, but Kim was doing especially well for herself. Beth had been evacuated and reached safety a while back, too. Sunny and she kept in touch, sending each other's messages once in a while. However, he had a feeling that the young woman wanted to forget what happened in the Southern Quadrant, at least for now. Talking to him was perhaps a painful reminder. That's good. That's good. That makes my heart feel good. So most of Sunny's communications were with Rain. His sister was doing well in the safety of the NSQC. She was training diligently and not showing any symptoms of being affected by the spell. The Serpent was protecting her too. At least in that regard, Sunny felt somewhat assured. As for himself, ever since reaching East Antarctica, Sunny had 3 goals. Turn the Reverend's Fiend into a shadow, become a tyrant, and prepare for the arrival of the Great Clans. He had spent fragments on the Little Imp first, then hunted down numerous abominations, hoping to form in the 5th core. Now he was mere days away from catching up to Neph. As for the 3rd goal, Sunny had made good progress on that front too. Where the hell are you, Sunny? He smiled softly. He smiled silently. Sorry, Jet, I've been a little delayed. Are you still in the Enrose? Her voice came through static, sounding a little out of breath. Yeah, I had a nasty swarm of abominations on my tail. Sunny nodded. I'll send Mongrel your way. Lend them to the rendezvous point. Every fucking time. Every fucking God said that is a useful fucking thing. Point. The rendezvous point. That is such a weird way to spell that. And she'll take care of everything. I'll arrive in a few hours. And with that, Sunny glanced at the MWP pilot inside. Time to go, soldier. Say your goodbyes, and then I'll bring you to the nearest army outpoint. Sunny turned away, giving the young woman some space, and looked up at the cold sun, hanging motionly above the sky. Or high above, even. A long sigh escaped from Sunny's lips. How bright. I never thought I would miss the polar night. That's why he's my goat, Luster, my goat. Oh, my days. Her and Luster? Luster deserves it. He stood on business to the very end. He did, low-key. He did, low-key. This feature would change everything, real. That feature better help the literacy problem going on in the fucking community. It better help, because people better not be misconstruing words anymore. I'm sure it said before that that Rain could, which is why Sunny gave it to her. At least something positive came out of Volume 5. Imagine if Rain could take Serpent to her first nightmare. That she would kill everything? No? Like, right? Am I crazy for that? Am I crazy for thinking that? Anyway. Imp! 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 It's imp time, baby! The pilot did not spend a long time bidding farewell to her comrades. By that point of the campaign, everyone had experienced loss and defeat. The soldiers had not grown numb to watching people die, but they did become used to it. Death was always surrounded those who had fought against the nightmare spell, and here in Antarctica, it was even more inescapable, both for the awakened and for the mundanes. When the young woman returned, however, a confused expression appeared on her face, and Sunny raised an eyebrow. What? The pilot pointed. Where did my MWP go? She looked back. The wrecked war pilot was indeed gone. In its place, hidden behind a pile of dirt, sat an ugly little creature that hurriedly pushed a piece of bent alloy into its wide, toothy mouth with both hands. Noticing that someone was looking, the creature froze for a moment and feverishly continued to chew on the armored alloy. It was afraid as if it would be taken away. Sonny rolled his eyes. The little... that little bastard right there, ace it. Don't mind him. Yes! Oh my god. Serpent needs a little party hat in general. Oh, yes. I need all of Serpent with a little party hat. Like, it's Sunny's birthday, but it's also Serpent's birthday, so they both get little hats. That'd be cute. It was hard to imagine that scrawny imp had devoured a massive machine, considering it was dozens of times larger than him. But that's exactly what happened, and Sunny did not want to. Sunny did not know what kind of infernal engine was hidden in the lamp's stomach, in Imp's stomach. But the little guy's appetite was inexhaustible. He's basically just got Effie as a nightmare creature. It's great. Everything that entered into its mouth disappeared without a trace, and there were very few things that the sharp teeth couldn't rip apart. Sunny shuddered, remembering that he had turned that little wrench into a shadow. How he had turned that little imp into a shadow. He had done it not long after arriving in East Antarctica. Before, Sunny had been planning to turn into a tyrant first, but that was because he needed more power, fast, during the siege of Falcon Scott. Now that things had calmed down, the circumstances was not as pressuring, and he allowed himself to delay it a little, and by converting an echo to Reverous Fiend, a priority. Sunny had possessed 3 shadows before, but funnily enough, only one of them, Saint, had come from an echo. The process of conversion itself had looked pretty much the same as the first time. In the tranquil silence of his soul seed, 2 beams of dark light descended from one of the shadow cores. One fell in the echo of the scavenger, the other of a motionless shadow that stood with the rest of them that was still surfacing in the calm waters. The shadow of the Revenous Fiend seemed to dissolve into a dark light, and then the echo became wrenched in a black flames that spewed deep into its flesh, changing it on a fundamental level. The boundless spell weave that was hidden within the echo disappeared, replaced by darkness. A living shadow was now dwelling within the body of the imp instead. 4 transparent and empty embers burning in its depths. That's actually kind of sick, of getting the shadow of the imp and the actual imp's echo and fusing them together. That's fucking cool. Granted, this scene was not as majestic and awe-inspiring as when Saint had become a shadow. The scrawny little bastard could not compare to the magnificent stone knight in any shape or form, after all. Oh, this is gonna be a punching bag. Nevertheless, that was how Sunny had acquired his 4th shadow, and what came next, however, he did not think of one bit. The imp was a blank slate and a tremendous potential for growth, but Sunny had to be careful about what he had fed to the gluttonous creature. Some types of food were easy to come by, but would produce mediocre results. Worse than that, he strongly suspected that some of the achievements would prevent more beneficial powers from taking root in the future. Whew! That one hurt my soul. Fucking hell. I'm back. I just saw the GTA 6 Netflix trailer. It was ass. Oh, I didn't even know what was coming out today. Fucking hell. Imp has a lot of a lot of mega me's. True. Worse than that, he strongly suspected that some of the advancements would prevent some beneficial powers from taking root in the future. There was one he could not compromise on, though: the affinity of shadows. Since the shadow creature was almost impossible to find, Sunny had no choice but defeat the hateful gremlins with his own flesh again. Ugh. The first time he summoned that fiend into the real world, the tiny creature looked around, then stared at him with fright and ran away, hiding behind Saint's leg. The imp then grabbed his calf, and with 8 clawed fingers and curiously peeked behind it, trembling slightly. "Get over here, bastard!" Unable to refuse Sunny's command, the imp reluctantly abandoned its shelter and slowly waddled over. The moment Sunny offered the gremlin his forearm and ordered him to take a bite, the bastard's eye ignited with a ferocious glee. Though, what happened next was truly ghastly experience for Sunny. He endured it by bitterly fantasizing about killing the vile creature the second time. However, it was worth it in the end. The scrawny figure regained its ability to travel through shadows. That's fucking useful. Later, Sunny learned that the process of gaining a new attribute and abilities was rarely, if ever, so easy and fast. The Fiend had already possessed a high affinity of shadows thanks to being one, and Sunny himself was more than unique. He was a divine shadow after all. There were 2 reasons that made it possible for him to inherit the vestige of his powers in one go. As to how the bastard had managed the first time around, Sunny had no idea. Maybe the inherent adaptability of the scavenger resonated within the innate formlessness of the shadows. Maybe the wretch had simply gotten lucky. The point of it was that he couldn't command the gluttonous scavenger to devour nightmare creatures and expect the same thing to happen. It took a long time and a lot of corpses, suitable ones at that, for the imp to grow in the right direction. Luckily, he was not limited to only eating flesh, which is why Sony was currently concentrating on feeding the imp all kinds of steel, alloy, and mystical metals. The Revenant's Fiend's bone armor had been a rather spectacular, but he was determined to come up with something even more indestructible. Watching that scrawny bastard hurriedly finish chewing on the last piece of broken MWP, Sunny smiled slightly, his eyes shining with an ominous glee. Eat more, trashling. I need to fatten you up. That's so funny. The imp suddenly shivered and looked at Sunny with wide eyes. Terrified eyes. Sunny suppressed the menacing grin and dismissed the imp and then looked at the pilot. I got him as an echo. Come, let's go. We need to hurry. Marvelous Devil. Hell yeah. That's funny. I love that, though. How could Serpent be with Ray in the first place? It means that Sunny can't give it another command. Possible. Marvelous Devil. As a scout, Sunny constantly traversed the great distances across the abomination-infested wilderness of East Antarctica. He would usually ride on top of Nightmare or glide through the shadows with incredible speed, but right now, neither of those methods were optional. His steed was a saint. His steed was with Saint, and he obviously couldn't leave the stranded MWP pile behind by turning into a shadow. Theoretically, Sunny could carry the young woman on his back and run, which would be faster than limiting his speed of that of a mundane human, but he was not too desperate to save time. There was an army outpost relatively close to the ruined city, and although normal patrols would have been slaughtered if they had taken the convenient shortcut, nothing that dwelled there could have threatened Sunny. As they followed a small river that snaked between the barren hills, Sunny summoned the runes and glanced at his list of shadows. It read, Onyx Saint, Soul Serpent, Nightmare, Ravenous Fiend. Sunny concentrated on the last strings of runes, summoned in a detailed description of the little bastard. Shadow, Ravenous Fiend. Shadow Rank, Transcendent. Shadow Class, Devil. Shadow Description. Alright, let's turn off the music for this one. Shadow Description. A pitiful little creature traveled through a nightmarish land, harboring a bitter grudge in its tiny heart. Driven by resentment and spite, it suffered as many trials and conquered untold dangers to become a marvelous devil. But fate was unkind. The ravenous devil met a much more terrible fiend, and turned into a shadow. I love that. That's great. I love how it always insults Sunny in one way or another. Sunny stared at the runes with a bleak expression. The spell had always seemed to like to tease him. At least he thought it did. Well, that one's just unfair. How am I the fiend? The little bastard has the literal word fiend in his name. Shaking his head, he moved past the description and continued reading. Shadow attributes. Lucky, Marvel, Ravenous, Shadow Sworn, Lesser Iron Body. Lucky. Attribute description. This shadow is favored by fortune. Okay. Sunny sighed. His own attribute, Fated, attracted both incredible and absolute terrible luck. The imp, however, was blessed with only one fortune. It was most likely a small scavenger's very first innate attribute. No wonder the little bastard survived our meeting twice. Damnation. Peeved by the blatant unfairness, Sunny continued to read. Marvel. Attribute description. This shadow is a marvelous learner. It is stunningly keen and supremely adept, absorbing new knowledge with astonishing speed. Lucky and smart? Well, who cares? At the end of the day, it didn't help him survive meeting me for a third time. If the wretch was so smart, he would have avoided me like a plague. Sunny had seen the description before, and of course he couldn't help but seething over them. Ravenous. Attribute description. This shadow possesses an insatiable hunger and a frightening potential of growth. The more it eats, the more it will grow. This attribute already seemed rather great, despite the fact that the imp had not grown even by a centimeter in the last 2 months. Sunny had fed him literally tons of armored alloy as well, as the corpse of many nightmare creatures like a steel-like Capros. He had no idea how much the little fiend was going to gobble up to become bigger, but he knew that the results would be worth it. The true benefit of Ravenous, the attribute was not more subtle, though, and incredibly precious. It was the fact that, unlike Nightmare and Saints, it did not need to consume memories to rise to a higher rank. There was no counter for shadow fragments, and instead, the feverish shadow just simply had to devour. That is astronomically better. It would become a supreme devil by simply devouring nightmare creatures, or any creatures really, in great numbers. The more powerful, the better. That put Sunny, who was already suffering terribly from a need to procure countless memories, at ease. The imp was indeed lucky. If I had to choose between feeding the memories to Saint and Nightmare or him, well, the poor bastard would be starved. Sunny smiled slightly and turned his attention to the last 2 attributes. Shadow Sworn. Attribute description. This shadow is known to shadows. That one was without surprise and appeared after Sunny had fed the imp to his flesh. It was the same as what Shadowblade Kurt had possessed, and had shown a higher affinity to shadows. Lesser Iron Body. Attribute description. This shadow's flesh This shadow's flesh possesses qualities of metal. Sunny grinned in satisfaction. Finally, progress! My phone has said I can't plus this is shit that happened during 810. I don't remember what happened in chapter 810, I'm not gonna lie. Oh well. The lesser Iron Body had been nascent Iron Body before. It seemed that munching on the MWP had finally pushed the imp over the threshold. He was much more sturdy now, and in the future, there would be a chance for it to become truly indestructible. There had to be a greater Iron Body as well. Happy to see the ankle biter achieving something, Sunny finally glanced at the imp's abilities. The Runed, Red, Scavenger, Devourer, Shadow Step. Scavenger. Ability and description. This shadow can attain the traits, attributes, and abilities of the creatures it consumes. Devourer. Ability description. This shadow's teeth possesses unnatural sharpness and strength. It can render and maul even the most resilient things. Shadow Step. Ability description. This fiend can move freely between shadows, traversing from one to another in an instant, or diving into them to move with great speed. And that was it. Sunny's fourth shadow. The critter was an absurd excuse for a transcendent devil. For now, it had to grow to be a real menace one day. In fact, Sunny had a feeling that the imp might become one of his most terrifying weapons in his arsenal. The ravenous fiend had been an exceedingly dire enemy, but now that he was serving Sunny, and thus enjoying the support of a benevolent, selfish, and supremely gorgeous master, or generous master even. Sorry, Nephis came out for a second. Just how much more terrible would this wrench wave become? Walking along the small river, Sunny in the shadow manifestation to slaughter nightmare creatures was waiting to ambush him and the MPV pilot. Then sighed. I need to find a couple iron golems I killed last week. Or better yet, a whole swarm of them. A whole would be even better. My imp is growing a little wrench. After all, he needs to eat. He's growing to like the little imp. But for now, I think I'll end the stream here for a little bit. We finally got a true introduction to Imp is finally a shadow. Like, thank fuck for that. Imp is finally a shadow, thank fuck for that. Having a conversation between Sunny and Nephis is always going to be a great time. Always going to be a great time. There's never going to be a complaint from me on that one. Eh? I'm not that down bad. Okay. Imp seems to be, like, shockingly powerful. Even as, like, this little guy seems to be shockingly powerful. He is a fucking devil after all. But no, it's good to... everybody's kind of up to speed with Sunny in his life. It's good to know everybody's kind of doing their own little fucking thing. I'm probably going to read the next, like, 20 chapters to myself. Actually, I need to make a video first. And then I'm probably going to next read 20 chapters to myself. Make another video. And then carry on the progress, because I have been very lacking on Shadow Slave videos recently. But yes, that was fun. What a great time. Also, domains, fucking sick. These few chapters were great. Yeah, like, shockingly good time. I feel like I'm gonna really enjoy Volume 6. Which is a bit shocking, because I think Volume 6 is lower on a lot of people's lists. But hey, when have I ever been known to follow the fucking horde, you know? I hold my own opinions. But yeah, it's great to see the little imp grow. Read chapter 11-12 with us. When we get there. Don't worry, the pinned chapters are still on the Discord server, so I'm not going to be forgetting that. Anyway, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, because it helps me out and tells YouTube that you want more of this shit. Want more? Anyway, I should probably get back to reading the beginning after the ends novel, so I can write that script. Bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye-bye-bye-bye-bye-bye.